Before the world ever hears your voice, let your actions echo louder than thunder. Because in this age of endless noise, of constant chatter and performative living, real power is quiet. Real power is still. Real power doesn't announce itself, it arrives. You must understand deeply. The lion doesn't need to tell the jungle it's king. The lion just moves and everything else moves around it. That's the energy you must claim. Not loud, not boastful, but undeniable. We've been conditioned to overshare, to seek validation for every step we take, posting our plans before we've made progress, explaining our goals before we've earned the right to even say them out loud. But success, true success, is born in silence. It is forged in the furnace of discipline, in the lab of obsession, while the world sleeps and doubts and scrolls. You don't need applause. You need vision. You don't need followers. You need focus. You don't need praise. You need purpose. And hear this clearly: when you speak less and do more, the world will speak for you. Not with empty words, but with respect, with awe, with doors opening that never did before. Thomas Edison didn't rant about his 1,000 failures. He worked in silence until the light turned on. Walt Disney didn't tweet his dreams. He drew them every day in silence until the world saw what he saw. Carnegie didn't build his empire by convincing others to believe. He believed in silence until his results left no room for denial. You don't need noise to prove you're serious. You need results. So stop telling people what you're going to do. Stop seeking approval before the work is even done. Because every word you speak about your dreams without action weakens the very power of that dream. It bleeds energy. It diffuses your focus. And it gives others the chance to destroy what they do not understand. Stay quiet. Let the discipline speak. Let the grind speak. Let the transformation speak. When you're truly becoming someone great, you don't have time to convince anyone. You're too busy becoming. Too deep in the work to come up for air. Because you understand the seed grows in silence, the roots anchor in darkness, and only when it's ready does the tree break the surface and reveal its strength. That's how you must live. In silence, in structure, in sacrifice. Your time will come, but not if you keep telling the world what's coming. Because energy grows where attention flows. And every time you talk about your next move, you're giving it away bit by bit. You want to win big? Then speak less. Be underestimated. Let them sleep on you. Let them doubt you. Let them forget you. Because when the time comes and the results arrive, they won't forget what you did. They won't forget who you became. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy. It's control. It's alignment with the law of cause and effect. And it is the essence of greatness. The greatest warriors meditate before they strike. The sharpest minds are often the ones that say the least. And the loudest rooms are often filled with the weakest voices. So turn the volume down. Down your distractions, on your doubts, on your need to prove something. And turn the volume up on your inner voice, the one that knows where you're going, the one that whispers when the world shouts, the one that sees the finish line before anyone else knows there's even a race. Speak less, do more, win big, good. Now that the noise has faded, now that the world's expectations have been silenced, let's talk about the engine that drives all silent success: clarity. Not just the kind of clarity that knows what you want, but the kind that burns so fiercely inside you that no distraction survives. The kind of clarity that kills procrastination, that drowns out the opinions of others, that says, this is what I was born to do, and no voice, not even my own fear, will stop me. You cannot walk silently with power if your path is foggy. And most people talk so much because they are confused inside. They speak to validate their own doubt. They overshare because they haven't locked in on their mission. They fear being invisible because they haven't yet become invincible. But when you find clarity, deep clarity, you no longer crave recognition. You crave alignment. You crave that moment each morning where you rise not with hesitation, but with fire in your gut and steel in your spine. That's what silence protects. It protects your energy. It protects your intention. It becomes the fortress for your soul while you build something unstoppable. Every minute spent explaining yourself is a minute not building yourself. You think Steve Jobs had to explain Apple's vision to everyone? He didn't chase permission. He didn't beg for understanding. He didn't dilute his dreams just to make them digestible. He built it in silence. He created something the world didn't understand until it couldn't be ignored. And that's the key. When you're misunderstood, keep building. When you're doubted, keep building. When you're ignored, keep building. Because silence is how you plant the seeds of destiny. Noise is how you scatter them to the wind. Some of you are leaking your own great, dripping it out in endless conversations, pointless arguments, desperate attempts to be seen before you've earned being seen. But those who win big, they vanish into the process. They walk like ghosts, barely visible, always moving. Until one day, they step onto the stage of life with an empire behind them, and nobody even saw it coming. That's the win. When the world turns around and says, "Where did you come from?" and you smile because you never left, you were just too focused to be noticed. Discipline in its purest form is invisible. It's not dramatic, it's not flashy. It's that quiet choice at 5 a.m. to get up again. It's that refusal to explain why you're different. It's that inner voice that whispers, "Just keep going. They'll see soon enough." Remember, noise wants attention. Power wants results. You can either impress the world with your words, or you can change the world with your work. And trust me, when the work is real, the world notices. It might not say anything at first. They might mock you. They might overlook you. But eventually, the results will rise like the sun. And no one questions the sun when it shines. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them waste their breath explaining dreams they never act on. You disappear into the trenches. You become the architect of your own destiny. You turn your back on the need for likes, views, claps, or praise, and you trade them for legacy, mastery, and undeniable proof. Because silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of purpose. And when your life is drenched in purpose, you no longer feel the need to shout. You just move with clarity, with conviction, with quiet thunder in your veins. And when you move like that, the world doesn't just see you, it feels you. So now that you walk with clarity, let's talk about the fuel that keeps your silence alive. Conviction. Conviction is not noise, it's not bragging. It's not trying to convince others to believe in your dream. Conviction is a fire so deep in your chest that it doesn't need to be seen. It moves you when motivation is gone. It grounds you when fear creeps in. It locks you in when distractions beg for attention. You see, most people confuse confidence with loudness. They think boldness is volume. But real conviction, it's a whisper that never stops repeating. I will not quit. I will not bend. I will not break. Think of Abraham Lincoln, quiet, composed, steady in chaos. He didn't scream his strength. He carried the weight of a fractured nation with grace and gravity. He didn't chase applause. He bore criticism like armor because he knew what was right. That's power. Your silence must come from that same place. Not from fear of speaking, but from the mastery of not needing to. The more convicted you are, the less you explain yourself. You stop debating, you stop defending, you stop dancing for approval. Why? Because your life becomes your answer. Your work becomes your argument. Your consistency becomes your credibility. While others are shouting, "Watch me," you're silently becoming the one they watch. And the truth is, people respect what they don't understand. They fear what moves without permission. They admire what rises without noise. Let them underestimate you. Let them mislabel your quiet as weakness. Because one day they'll see you were building while they were babbling. Every legendary figure, Carnegie, Ford, Disney, Hill himself, was first doubted, dismissed, mocked. But they kept their mouths shut and their heads down. They spoke only through impact. That's how they rewrote the future. And so must you. Because there's a kind of discipline that only silence protects, the kind of discipline that turns a soft voice into an unshakable force, the kind that trades empty words for towering action. Let's be clear, discipline isn't glamorous. It's not meant to be seen. It's early mornings and late nights. It's skipped parties and unseen sacrifices. It's doing the work when no one's watching and still doing it when they are. And it's that discipline that makes you dangerous. Not because you're loud, not because you're flashy, but because your results arrive like an avalanche, silent, until it's too late to stop. That's the ultimate revenge. That's the ultimate success. Doing in silence what others only talk about. Building in silence what others only dream of. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to be seen to be powerful. Because the moment your actions align with divine purpose, the universe listens. And it responds. So hold your silence. Hold your fire. Hold your vision so tightly that nothing pries it from your grip. Let the world keep talking. You're moving, and movement, pure, unshakable, quiet movement, always wins. Good. Because now we step into the heart of what separates the few who rise from the millions who fall. Purpose. When you walk in silence with purpose, you become a force of nature. Not a storm that passes, but an unshakable mountain that stays. Purpose is the compass that doesn't waver, the voice that doesn't crack, the reason you can endure pain without complaint and delay without doubt. Without purpose, silence becomes fear. But with purpose, silence becomes a weapon. A strategy, a shield that protects your energy from the world's chaos. Most people speak to distract themselves from the emptiness inside. They talk about success because they're too afraid to confront the fact that they're not pursuing it. They talk about plans because they're too paralyzed to act. But you're different. You don't speak to distract yourself. You walk in alignment. You wake up every morning with a why burning behind your eyes. And that's why your silence is heavy. It's not hollow. It's sacred. The world is filled with people chasing applause. But the great ones? They chase alignment. They chase contribution. They chase impact. Mother Teresa didn't make headlines with words. She moved nations with silent service. She understood when your life is your message, you don't need to shout it. So stop trying to make noise. Make meaning. Stop trying to impress. Start trying to impact. Let your purpose be so strong that it moves people without you saying a word. Let your actions drip with so much intention that even your silence speaks truth. You want to win big? Then ask yourself right now, why am I doing this? Why do I wake up? What am I building? And if you can't answer with fire in your chest, then go find that fire. Because until you do, your silence will be empty, and empty silence is not power, it's paralysis. But when you find that reason, when your purpose clicks into place like a key in a divine lock, everything changes. Suddenly, you don't need to prove anything. You just become the proof. Your focus sharpens, your habits align, your sacrifices make sense. You stop chasing balance and start chasing meaning. You stop wasting time on small talk and start making time for legacy. You stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what will I leave behind? That's what purpose does. It makes your silence rich. It turns every quiet hour into an investment. It turns every unnoticed moment into momentum. And eventually, it turns you into something they can't ignore, because the world can dismiss a voice, but it can't ignore a force, and purpose is what transforms you into one. So keep walking, keep building, keep going without explaining, because those who are powered by purpose don't need to speak. They show up and the world takes notice. And now, as your purpose burns quietly beneath the surface, let's talk about the most underestimated weapon in the hands of the silent: resilience. Because silence is easy when things are going well. It's easy to stay composed when the path is clear. But what about when the storm hits? What about when you're doubted, betrayed, overlooked, laughed at, or left behind? That's when your silence is tested. That's when resilience either rises or collapses. And you must decide, will I fall into noise when the pressure builds, or will I stand firm in my silence and let my scars become my strength? You must become unshakable, not because you never feel pain, but because pain doesn't move you away from your purpose. It pushes you deeper into it. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years locked in silence behind prison walls, not bitter, not broken, building, in the dark, in the quiet, until the world had no choice but to listen. That's the level of inner fortitude you must command. Not noise, not vengeance, not complaint. Resilience is silent. He doesn't cry for sympathy. He doesn't beg for recognition. He just keeps showing up, day after day, setback after setback, loss after loss. Still here, still focused, still climbing. Because you understand something most people never will. Every blow life throws at you is fuel. Every no is a sharpening stone. Every betrayal is a lesson in loyalty to yourself. And when the world tries to break you, your silence is your defiance. Your discipline is your protest. Your progress is your revenge. Because the loud fall when pressure comes. But the silent, they endure. They adapt. They rise. Like bamboo that bends but never breaks. You go quiet when the wind howls. Not because you're afraid, but because you're preparing to snap back stronger. Resilience isn't flashy. It's not a social media post. It's not a motivational quote. It's that moment at 2 a.m. when you're exhausted and alone, and you still choose to move forward. It's the hours of repetition when no one is watching. It's the rejection letter you turn into fuel. It's the silence you choose instead of lashing out, because you know your future doesn't need defending. It just needs building. So build. Silently, relentlessly, unapologetically, let your scars harden your will. Let your pain deepen your peace. Let your resilience write a story so powerful that the world will read it long after you're gone. Because the truth is, you are not meant to survive this life by being loud. You are meant to dominate it by being unbreakable. And nothing is more powerful than the soul who suffers in silence and still shows up glowing. That's who you must become. Let the storms come. Let the silence stretch. Let the darkness press against you. And then show the world what resilience looks like when it refuses to break. So now you walk with clarity. You breathe purpose. You endure with resilience. But none of it matters unless you have the courage to take ruthless, relentless, unapologetic action every single day. You see, silence without motion is nothing but stillness, and stillness without direction becomes stagnation. The world doesn't reward those who intend to build. It rewards those who do quietly, consistently, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. This is the truth. Talk is temptation. Action is transformation. While others plan for perfect conditions, you must move in imperfect ones. While others rehearse what they'll say when success finally arrives, you must act like it's already yours. Edison didn't wait for certainty. Ford didn't wait for applause. Hill didn't wait for approval. They moved, they built, they acted again and again without noise, without needing anyone to believe. And that's the power of a silent warrior. He doesn't need the world to clap. He needs only his next breath and the will to keep swinging. Action is divine. Because every time you act with discipline and intention, you align with the laws that govern success. You tell the universe, I'm ready, I'm serious, and I don't need to be seen because soon I will be felt. Each silent repetition, each early morning grind, each quiet sacrifice, they are writing your future. And when that moment comes, when the world turns around and finally sees what you've built, they'll call you overnight. They'll say you were lucky. They'll ask, how did you do it so fast? Let them ask. Let them wonder. Because by the time they notice, you'll already be 10 steps ahead, too far to catch, too grounded to move. You want to win big? Do the small things in silence, with obsession. Show up when it's boring. Do the work when no one's watching. Make progress when no one is cheering. Because the real magic, it's invisible. It happens in the shadows. It lives in the space between dreams and results, where most people quit, but the rare few build. They don't wait. They move. They create. They become. And now we talk about the last power, the crown jewel in the empire of silence. Gratitude. Yes, gratitude. Not the soft kind, not the polite surface level of thank you. I'm talking about the kind of gratitude that anchors your spirit when storms rage, the kind that humbles your ego in victory, the kind that keeps you focused in silence when the noise of success threatens to pull you off your path. Gratitude is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's the armor that protects your progress from pride and the fuel that transforms hardship into lesson. The greats, every one of them, lived in gratitude, not because life was easy, but because they understood that every moment, every failure, every rejection was training. Gratitude is what kept them moving without noise. Gratitude is what kept them silent in the face of critics. Gratitude is what made them unstoppable. Because a grateful warrior doesn't need outside approval. He knows the struggle is shaping him. He knows the delay is preparing him. He knows the silence is sacred. You must carry that same heart. Be grateful for the grind, for the setbacks, for the invisibility, because in that space you're being formed. And when you truly carry gratitude in silence, you radiate something rare, something magnetic, something that draws opportunities, people, and breakthroughs without saying a word. Gratitude rewires your mindset. It breaks you free from scarcity and noise. It makes you appreciate every step, even the painful one. And it's in that appreciation, in that silence, in that still, faithful movement forward, that empires are born. So now, take a breath and realize how far you've come. Not in public victories, but in private transformation. You've stopped needing to be liked. You've stopped trying to convince, and that right there is power, because now you can focus, now you can build, now you can rise. Not to be admired, but to fulfill your destiny. And here's the secret the world doesn't tell you. When you stop trying to impress, you start becoming impossible to ignore. You become the type of person who walks into a room and shifts the energy, not with words, but with presence, with certainty, with that unshakable disciplined silence. You've become the storm no one saw coming. You've become the story they'll tell one day. Not because you talked about it, but because you lived it. So let this be your final vow. You will speak less. You will move more. You will build in silence. You will rise without noise. You will win without warning. And when the world finally sees you, not because you asked them to, but because your results demanded it, you'll smile because you'll know the truth. Silence was your power. Discipline was your voice. And greatness was your reward. Now go, speak less, do more, win big. The world is watching, but you're already moving quiet, relentless, unstoppable.